tie-in to New York Climate Week with us, the Tie-In Podcast.
We're bringing you 2 exclusive interviews in 1 week just to celebrate the occasion. Climate influencer Andrea Learned and singer, songwriter, entertainer, producer, and entrepreneur A.Y. Young.
There is a lot happening in sustainability and entertainment, and we're a direct route to the people doing amazing work behind the scenes.
And I'll be at Climate Week, so get in touch with me through the website, tieinpodcast.com, or you can also reach me through my socials under Mark Rabin. And so we hope you listen in. We've got great stories to bring you. Hello, everybody. Today, we're speaking with singer, songwriter, entertainer, producer, and entrepreneur extraordinaire that's changing the world, Mr. A.Y. Young. And he's been touring the world for the past 10 years. And in that time, he's learned that over 1 billion people across the world lack access to basic electricity. In response, A.Y. founded the Battery Tour and began powering concerts using only renewable energy. And we know that he's going to be having show number 957. And he's coming up, and he's going to be at 1,000 shows, breaking a world record. And he unites people through music and inspires people to be outlets for change.
Yeah, early on, he landed on the X Factor TV show. So that was something like 2012. And after that, he hit the streets performing his original music and garnering a grassroots following that has, had him on the stages with some of the most well-known artists over the years. He's also a UN young leader for the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, and has developed Project 17, which is a music album based on the 17 UN SDGs. So he is a force, and we are excited to talk with him.
Hey, AY, welcome to the Tie-In Podcast. We're excited to talk to you. And originally, we had met through the Music Sustainability Alliance Renewable Energy Working Group. And I know that you've met Zena. Yeah, and I know that you've met Zena in real life before. So there's lots we want to talk about here ahead of New York Climate Week. And I know that you've got some events that you will want to promote here a little bit later in the podcast. And yeah, we're just excited to get to know you.
Yeah.
So, man, I'm having guys.
Yeah. So yeah, super excited to have you. Okay, let's jump in. One of the things I've seen that I just love about what you're doing, you've got a quote that's youth, music, culture, and art must be a part of achieving sustainability and advancing the 17 SDGs. How did you what sparked this? How did it all start for you in that regard? Can you just take us through a bit of that journey?
Yeah, the journey, understand music and culture and using that for impact. I would say that music for impact. That's my journey.
Music for impact. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, music is a universal language, right? You know what I'm saying? We all, can speak the language of music. And I'm a big fan of believing that everyone in the world is I call it an outlet, and an outlet for change, and plugged into each other on the local level, the community level, we can power change. And I think, in order to really be an outlet too, you kind of got to know what drives you. And I think using your passion to take an action is how we really can collectively make change happen. You know what I mean? So, I guess my life has been now is a journey. Once I discovered my why and what drives me, and I figured out my passion, I started using my passion to take an action. Now I'm kind of in a phase where I'm kind of taking this action to change. You know what I mean? I use music as a vehicle to power impact, and we can get into more of it. But that's just kind of my process of thinking of how we all should. I mean, what else is life for if we're not doing what we love to do? You know what I mean?
Totally. And I love that about you, because it's just you found this like you really acted on your passion. A lot of people think about what they like and then they go to their 9 to 5 or whatever, and they're just kind of like waiting and wondering. And I just love that you like literally leaned in. How, like that, you must have had a great support system around you to be able to like realize that opportunity space.
I mean, I got like really good parents and I was homeschooled, so I was probably just taught differently. I don't know if
Okay.
I know, right? We were the weird people. Like it's funny because like we used to do like we would grow our own food, when I
Wow.
was, coming up in school because it was homeschool. But that was weird back then. Now it's like really
Mhm.
cool for people to like urban farm. And so yeah, I guess my parents were definitely different, but yeah, though, but also some of it was built for me of just like, you know, again, I say like, what else is life for? I don't think we're supposed to be here like living to just do what we don't like to do every day. That doesn't make sense. And I
Right.
also think, with great power comes great responsibility. If once you figure out what you love to do, you should use that to help people. And so my life has been that journey of like I got off the X Factor TV show,
Mhm.
I wanted people to hear my music. What artist doesn't? You know what I mean? And then I would try to open up for big name artists, and this still happens to this day all the time. I try to open up for this one or be in this show or be included here, and you get told, well, how many followers do you have? Not a million, right? How
Mhm.
many tickets has your last tour sold out? It's like none. I just got a TV show. I haven't been on tour. I don't have an agent. I don't have all these things that you need to, right? And so then I just said, well, screw it. I want to do what I love to do every day, and I obsessed over energy. And
Yeah.
I discovered, oh my God, like energy is a base resource. You
Yeah.
know what I mean, Zine? Like we all need it, right? In our food, we just talked about like eating
Yeah.
camera, like water. We all need energy, and if you store enough of it, you can power anything. And so that's what I did, and I started the battery tour in 2012, storing energy in batteries. I did the first 10-hour show in 2012.
It's
Wow.
amazing. That's
Tra
amazing.
Trailblazer.
Totally. And
How
so
did you know? Yeah, but how did you know you were gonna last? It was gonna last for 10 hours. Did you
Oh, well,
get a
that's easy,
battery? Did you get a battery and
right?
an inverter and be like, okay, like what can I do here? Or like,
No,
was
no,
that?
I had no idea how long it would last in that sense. It was, or how long I would be performing. It was more like what Zena you were saying is you said 9 to 5 a second ago. And like when I would talk to my parents or here in Kansas City or in general, like, yeah, 9 to 5 in America is a full-time job. And so I wanted to be a full-time artist. So what does that mean? Work a full-time shift. So for me, it wasn't like, here's 30 minutes and I'm done. Like, what? I still have issues like processing that because in my mind it was like you can't work at McDonald's without a minimum of 4 hour shift, So for me it was like set up the show at 9 or 10 and I'm like clocking out at like 8 or 9 at night sometimes. So that was just that concept of like 10,000 hours working hard, and I'll talk all about that, being great at something, right? You got to put the time in.
totally, totally. I mean, I get it. I am a parent and I have a child who we are trying to, instill this. And we're talking about you have to practice your instrument. You can't just go out there and think you're
Right?
great. Like you got to practice, you got to do it, right? So it sounds like, this was initially kind of even trial by error. Like, let's just see how long it goes for and see what we can do.
Well, everything is step by step. And like, how many kids do you have, or what are they interested in?
One, one,
One
he
kid.
plays violin.
Violin. Okay, what's that? You got one too, Mark? You got a little
No,
one?
I do
No,
not.
No.
Not
Mark
yet.
is solo. He is solo.
Marcus Solo. Well, yeah, I mean, I could always talk to your kid, but yeah, I mean, you got to put the time in. I always talk about Kobe Bryant, and even when I played Division I basketball, I would wake up and shoot 500 shots in the morning and shoot 500 at night. So, how else could you be great? You know how many shots Michael missed, but
Yeah.
also shot in general to then be able to hit game winners. So yeah, you got to put the time in. But success is over time. I didn't set out to be a young leader. Obviously, you just heard I was just trying to power a concert. It steps. It was like show 4 or 5 when I was like performing. I'm like, my name's AY, and I was like looking back, and there's all these batteries. There's a mountain of batteries, right? This is the battery tour.
That's it. That's how it started.
That's how. And then people would donate. Oh man, dude, I love when you do Peter Gabriel or Paul McCartney, or I love when you do the Lumineers, or I love when you do Drake, or I love when you do your original songs. Yo, here, we're your outlets. We power the tour. I was like,
Nice.
oh, and that's when I had my other eureka moment of, oh my God, everyone in the world is an outlet for change, right?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
And plugged into each other with the
absolutely.
power of change. So I went on a mission to go get the world plugged in. That's where all this marketing that isn't marketing came from. It's all real. That's why
Yeah.
we have kids and students around the world sending photos of outlets because they believe they're this outlet. So that's when I kind of took my passion to that's when I started just taking kind of my why to passion part. And I started just, doing these concerts to go get the world plugged in. It wasn't until like show 300 or something like that. I'm sleeping in my car. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get on Netflix and stuff, and it's like, energy down in the city in America. What's crazy? Is there's a lot of places in America that like have issues with energy.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's nuts. I didn't even know the grid goes down. It's like nuts. And I have like a bunch of batteries and I can do a concert in your small town. And
When
so
the
that's
grid's out, when the power's out.
right, bro. And if anyone's listening, it's nuts, even in America. A lot of people that have issues with energy. So I was Googling back then, back in 2012, and I was like, or it's more like 2014 when I made the switch to impact. And I found out 1 billion people don't have access to energy in the world.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
that's
Still
right.
today.
Still today, I mean, still today, the numbers are a little bit lower, but
Yeah.
it's just, and so that's when I was like, okay, well, I'm an outlet for change. Everyone loves music. Obviously, I'm bringing together all ages, all demographics, and universal language, right? I need to figure out how to use my passion to take an action every day, right? It's
Hmm.
just a process of passion action. So then I, partnered with a couple of people, built this solar box. I changed the battery to it from just this, like, a solar powered concert, open mic night, showcasing thing, whatever, to impact, where it's like, okay, each concert will raise money to send one person, one village access energy,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
On that mission to get the world plugged in. That was
I love it.
phase two, I guess.
I love it.
Yeah.
I have a similar sort of story. Just a quick aside. My first business was doing little solar pay-as-you-go energy systems in South Africa and Namibia.
Well,
Yeah. So
oh,
that was in 2013, 2014 as well. And it's not as
early.
easy as
Oh,
it seems, right?
wow.
You can't just throw a
No, it's
battery and a
not.
solar panel in there.
No. And that doesn't work. Just that's when I
Yeah.
learned the concept of radical collaboration. Everything that I talk about, Zena, everything I say,
Mhm.
when people actually take a moment to get to know me, they'll find out that it's actually not marketing. I learned radical collaboration because you're right, bro. You can't just drop something in the village and be like, yeah, I saved the village. It doesn't work that way.
No. No.
Not at all. Not even
Not at
close.
all. Not at all. I love that term, radical collaboration.
Me too.
I've used it before too, because I agree. It takes an act of, being a bit radical and coming together to make stuff happen. And I know, like, you embody that. I mean, every time I see you, and the work that you're doing, see you on social and all where you're at, it's like this guy's doing it. He's real, right?
Thanks.
And so I'm curious. So, okay, you had your battery pack behind you and you're out there. When did it hit, or what was the process, the journey to becoming a UN
Yeah.
youth leader? Like, how did you get to that stage?
Yeah. And to me, it's like, again, I talk about my life as like discovering your why. If you're listening, like
Yeah.
everyone needs to know what drives them. And then we found out the passion, right? And then I started taking my passion to action, which is like using the concerts to bring people energy. And that brings me to how I became a young leader and where it's at now. I'm probably 17 in this journey to
Yeah.
1,000 shows. But really, honestly, I didn't even know what the goals were. I think I was on show 800 and like something, just like you, bro. I was coming back from like Honduras. I brought
Mhm.
energy to some different places and villages and food and water and stuff like that. And I got a call from the Secretary General and they were telling me about these goals. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Yeah, and I was like, bro, more people know Johnny Depp's relationship.
Yeah.
Because they were like, you're
Totally.
achieving goal 7. And I was like, yeah. And I don't know, it's clean energy. And they're like, oh, you're also achieving goal 13, climate action, because you're doing a concert carbon neutral. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
bro, cool.
I love it.
But that's when I just looked at the goals, and I tell people it took me 30 seconds to make this. I think the most innovative and will be the biggest impact project in the history of music, or at least in the last 30 years, and that's Project 17. I say it
Yeah.
took 30 seconds, but now you're understanding it was my whole life of doing
Yeah.
music
Yeah.
impact, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fresh new face 10 albums later, right? Or 10 years later.
Right. And
But
and
once those
also,
two things connected, you were like totally on it.
yeah, totally. I mean, for me, it was really quick. I looked at the goals. I was like, okay, food, water, power. Okay, good. Music for impact. We'll make one song for each goal,
Yeah.
right? But each song with a major artist to rap or sing about the goal they care about. We'll line up sponsors because I'll ask you this question. Do you guys know what Taylor Swift why she re-recorded her music? Do you guys know the story of what's going on with Taylor?
It was an ownership thing, right?
Yeah,
Like
what else? What
ownership
else?
of her music, her own ownership. Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't own it.
Right. And she was trying to buy it, I guess, or and they wouldn't allow that. And so she was like, "Okay, I'll re-record everything myself."
Yeah, and
Is that right?
yeah, no, you're right on. And Taylor Swift is an exception. She's like a Ed Sheeran or a John Mayer, where she actually wrote the music, the
Yeah.
lyric, so she owned that. So she was able to just re-record the song,
Uh-huh.
right? So
Mm.
now if you purchase or buy the Taylor Swift songs that we all love, but it's called Taylor's version,
Yeah.
you're actually financing her, helping her,
Yeah.
need to be an artist. She did not own the music,
Right.
right?
Okay.
So the idea of Project 17 is music for impact. In order for me to donate 100% of the profits to organizations that do the work, right? So we can get people food, water, and power. They can achieve the goal, which is radical collaboration, which to scale back, to bring you back to Honduras, one of the reasons why I was able to get energy to places and things, because there are organizations that do that work, that
Yeah.
have that research, that have those metrics, and I can just do what I'm great at. And that's a concert, right?
Awareness. No, it's
Right?
awareness,
And
it's passion,
awareness.
it's inspiring folks to be aware of what's happening on the ground,
Whole
because
thing.
that's yeah.
Right. So to forward to what Project 17 is, one song for each goal, each song with a major artist, and I've been lining up a sponsor so I can own the
Mm-hmm.
music. And this is where there's been difficulty. We can get into adult leaders and how youth get this, but I keep having trouble with the adults
Yeah.
supporting this project. But scale
Why
back
is
to
that?
what we can get in that.
Okay,
All
well,
right.
we'll talk about that in
All
a bit.
right.
Like, I'm not sure. I am not sure why adults are the hard part, but the kids get it. The
That's
youth,
right.
Yeah.
that's why I'm here. But one sponsor, not one sponsor, but at least one sponsor per goal, so I can own the music and donate 100% of the music to organizations that do the work. I call them implementing partners. They're nonprofits. They're people that get food, water, and power. I think we have 8 right now. One of them is the National Wildlife Federation. People
There
know
we
that.
go.
Plastic Pollution Coalition. There are
Mhm.
others. And yeah, and we're going to do 17 concerts next year. And there's also, this is part of a 17 episode docu-series
Brilliant.
to storytell for the brands and the artists and the singers and the athletes and actors and the people that are part of the PSA, the whole thing. And so that's what I'm in the
Beautiful.
middle of as I approach Climate Week.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. And so on that vein of Climate Week, let's just talk about it real quick because I've got a list of the things that
Yeah.
you're involved with. I mean, your events. We want to talk through them a little bit to let people know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just keep it simple, man. Like, I'm on the road to 1,000, right?
1,000 shows.
Yeah, when I do this Times Square performance, it'll be show 957, powered 100% by clean energy.
Right.
Woo.
That's on the 21st, so that's on September 21st, 11:45 a.m. to 3 p.m. or somewhere
Yeah,
within that.
actually, my set's at 1 on the 21st.
Okay.
If you're in New York, Times Square, right there,
Yeah.
prime real estate.
I will be there, AY, by the way.
Let's go.
Yeah, totally will be there cheering. Yay.
I'll be there a couple days later at the next
Let's
event.
go.
I know. Yeah.
I'll just tell you guys directly because it's okay. Like, I mean, I'm gonna do an announcement that I'm gonna do the 1,000th show, which would be 42 shows from there, I think 43.
Yeah.
The idea is Earth Day 2025.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
Climate Pledge Arena would be what I would
Climate Pledge in Seattle?
That's my aspiration, yeah.
That's where I live. I mean, I live in that area. I'm
What
going
better
to that.
place- What better place to break a world record than a carbon neutral stadium?
Totally.
Right? Or
What a
1,000.
great idea. Okay.
Well,
You know,
I hope it's a reality because we're at 957. So I will get to 1,000 by Earth Day 2025. We just have to, make that a reality with the
let's do
people.
it. Manifest that.
Come to Vancouver, and we'll do another show here.
Yeah, I should do one event, on the way to 1,000. I should do one in
Exactly.
Vancouver.
Totally.
That's actually what I'm gonna be on stage at Times Square, kind of saying is join us and join this and let's make it happen to the world, like an open invitation to let's get me there.
Are you traveling with your own battery to Times Square? Or are you working with other battery providers that are going to bring their battery system?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the key to progress is aggregation and no tool fits all. Obviously, I've built stuff, battery tour holds stuff, but as Zena knows, there's so many great solutions out there and more popping up every day in film and music. So
Yeah.
I think the power, that the battery tour holds it's aggregation.
Yeah.
Last year, when I did the first ever clean energy concert in the history of Times Square, I did have my solar trailer there and some of my stuff, plus the smart flower and some of New Use Energy stuff and some
Yep.
other great partners, right?
Yep.
This year we'll have a mix of a few, and it'll be fun to announce it the day of. You'll know.
Yeah.
Totally. Do you know, just sorry, Mark, I have to do a
Yeah.
little aside. Do you
What
know,
up?
AY, that Mark founded a company called Portable Electric, like, I don't know,
Really?
10 or so years ago? He started that company. He's now on the board, but he started making batteries, battery power stations 10-ish years
Yeah.
ago.
Bro, you
And
were way
To
ahead of
power
it.
events and festivals,
the
and
power
that's we were
events.
the first, one of the first.
Dude,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're on dude, you're the OG, homie. Like,
Yeah.
I'm following you, dude.
Well, I mean, I'm following you now, man. We're right behind you, brother.
But
So
Dude,
but
bro.
Portable Electric is in Vancouver, so if you go to
yeah,
Vancouver, you have I mean, there are other equipment folks there too, but there's a ton of batteries there.
yeah,
So
yep,
That's
just as
really
an aside.
cool. Like, no, honestly, I should make one of these stops. We're shooting a film on this journey to 1,000. It's going to break a world record. We're hoping that we can invite the world in and be a
yep,
part of this. That can then help us launch Project 17 as the next phase. But like coming to Vancouver and doing one of the dates, I mean, would be historic. Like, we should do
yep,
it. We'll
yep.
talk.
We've got batteries in Halifax, in Toronto, and
Oh,
All
around,
over
that's
the
right?
awesome.
world, actually,
Calgary.
all over the
Yeah.
world. I was in India, in Mumbai, doing a talk, and this
Really?
this guy comes up and he's like, "I have something to show you," and he brings up a portable electric battery power
Volt stack.
station, volt stack, and I was like,
Nice.
"Yeah, I know those guys."
Gold Stack's
Great.
dope. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are my homies too. Oh man, they're
Ah,
great.
Yeah.
Wow, it's taking over. It's coming. Like we're
it's
really
coming.
people
10 years
really
later, right? Fresh new
10
face,
years
10 albums
later,
later.
homie. Wow. Also, it's funny, speaking of Project 17, the 501c3, it's a 501c3, obviously I'm
Yeah.
the battery tour, but
For
Mumbai,
non-Americans, what is the 501c3?
yeah, it's a nonprofit, right?
Okay.
It's a
Nonprofit. Yeah.
nonprofit organization, and 501c3 is that. It's a very time locked 2-year project, one song for each goal, all the money going to, you know, organizations that do the work. And we have a lot of major artists already on it and commitments from like obviously BNP and Samsung and General Motors were the
Yeah.
first sponsors that kind of gave it life. And now we're about to kind of use this New York show to be like the first hello. Like this
Hmm.
is what I bring in the world. But I was gonna say I just brought on Anushka Sen, who's like the Taylor Swift of India.
Ooh,
She's
yeah.
playing on Goal 4, dude. Which
Uh-huh.
is
Amazing.
and she has like 39 million followers. She's amazing from India. She's like one of India's biggest influencers. So it's just funny that you mentioned
Yeah.
Mumbai. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Totally.
it.
Shout out
Totally.
there. Yeah.
Well, you're global, right? I mean, I look at what you're doing and it's a global vibration, right? I mean, it's all energy and it's all everywhere, all at once.
I was sitting with Sherry Fields, who's the CSO of Costco, right? And she took a step back and she said, "Hey, why? What you're doing?" She said, "It's 17 We Are the Worlds."
Mhm.
Totally.
Yeah.
And just think how revolutionary that was, right? This is it's super inspiring and it's big. It's a big feat, right? And this is all in the direction that, we need to be going as a global society. It's
Yeah, but
amazing.
I'm having an issue. I did 5 shows in 6 days for the Scouts because I'm like a Boy
Yeah.
Scout,
My
Yeah.
son is too. That's so,
Really?
yeah.
Wow. Let's
He's
go.
I
I'm
know.
gonna be
I
answering.
gotta hook you up. I mean, I
We
gotta
gotta
show.
talk.
I
Does
know you would
was he
love.
at camp? Was he at camp?
Oh, totally. Yeah, he's into it. He's going to
Probably just a
Philmont. He's
little
going to
bit.
Philmont this in
Oh,
2025.
he's gonna do Philmont. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, Philmont. So I did the National Jamboree, the one big one that's every, the Jamboree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn, I wish I would have met him. Um,
Yeah.
but I was gonna say, like, I'm in schools, college. I just did Penn State and Chicago University. I'm a K through 12 Project 17 program is just phenomenal. I mean, there's just something about what we have works for youth, like it works
Yeah.
for kids. And they get it. I mean,
Yep.
lines of kids. I think I have 5,000 kids every show. We just did Rock in Rio. They get it. But I'm having an issue with adults.
Yeah.
It's really
Yeah.
interesting. I don't have the support for the 3 sponsors, not 17, but 3. 8 or 9 nonprofits, National Wildlife Federation, others, no, you know, not show 957, and yet we are still having trouble with the adults. And so I'm hoping
What do
that
you
can
think it
change.
is? But like let's dig in a little bit here. I know we've got to be careful here and there, but it's like, what is it? Like they just don't buy in. They still think that they know better, or are they afraid? Are they afraid of your message?
I don't know. I think it would be like to answer that, I have to start looking at different facets of humanity. You say, okay, corporate space, because
Yeah.
the corporate ask or deliverables are different than the music business, and that's different than the nonprofit world. Obviously, as a nonprofit, those adults get me really well, right?
Hmm.
Because they're like, oh crap, I signed up for this goal, and I'm going to receive X amount of dollars and X amount of dollars from ticket sales, and this is going to fundraise for the what
Yeah.
we do. So I think it was easy for, NWF Plastic Pollution Coalition, the UN SDGs Fund, UNDP. It's very easy for these to sign up. When I think from the corporate lens, I used to have excuses, but I don't really have many anymore because we've helped driven and scale up their KPIs, their ESG. We have a ESG monitoring system. We set our own baselines and metrics. We can deliver these quarterly reports. You get the storytelling, you get the connection to the youth, you get all of these things, and we can customize that to the corporate donor or sponsor. I mean, they
Hmm.
get the visibility. When you go to Times Square, there's also that piece of like they're going to be on the back of the album. And when you go to Times Square, you're going to see the logos of the current sponsors there. There's foot traffic of 400,000. We're live streaming out to 50 million people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some very clear deliverables as a sponsor that you get
Yeah.
aside from upping these things. So it's hard for me to give an excuse there. Now, with the music industry, I understand in some ways. AY is not famous. I don't have 10 million followers. I haven't sold countless tickets. So some agent wants to then engage me. So it's interesting because what I'm hearing is the music business and people industry talking about change and sustainability. Yet
Hmm.
AY standing right here at MSA, yet AY saying, come work with him, whether you're an agent, because I need more platforming to take what you're doing at this festival or fair or whatever you're sustaining and make it real fan facing, right? Make it artist centric facing. Like I can actually bring the message through the music and on stage instead of flashing you a stat. So why
Yeah.
don't you help this artist get platforming,
Yep.
right? I mean, hell, I got Peter Paterno, the one of the biggest law firms in all of Hollywood. They represent Metallica, Justin Bieber, Lauryn Hill. I could go on and on. Who are ready to work with a label to say, help AY
Yeah.
distribute this, but you can't own it all because he's got to give it away to the people. So maybe it's that 50% that you own when you engage an artist, you donate it back and make a commitment, and you donate it back to the nonprofit. This is what Peter Paterno and the group has worked out. So I don't know.
Hmm.
I wish, people come to me all the time. Well, look at what Massive Attack is doing. Look what Billie Eilish is doing. Look what
Right.
Coldplay is
Yeah.
doing. It's like, yeah, I would love to be featured as an act on Coldplay's tour because this for me is show 957. I don't know. I'll be honest, sometimes I sit back and say, oh my God, because I am an African American male startup founder. It's like, is it something as crazy as it sounds? After
Yeah.
12 years, you
No.
question your own looks and say, well,
It's
God,
intergenerational stuff.
what is it?
It's the divide between the generations, and it still is. I mean, Zena and I are in our, well, mid 40s. Zena's in her mid 30s.
Uh,
But no, it's but we're the same. Like, I mean, I still come across that kind of a generational divide. And I think part of the answer is screw them. Work with folks that are in their 40s, work with folks that are at the, rising up in those organizations that get it and want to help you, because you're not going to change those other folks. What you can do is work with the folks that get it and move through those organizations in a different way, right? Because you're unconventional already. And I think part of this is you don't fit in these boxes, right? That are prescribed by the music business and by corporate, whatever, corporate global, right? Whatever that is. And so, yeah, I would say, I mean, just speaking to you now, I mean, your energy is palpable and what you're doing is huge. And this is a wake up call, right? And it's all about the messaging and clarity of messaging and reinforcing the messaging over and over again, right? It's going to happen. Um, so you are on the right path.
Yeah, it's going to happen, and it is happening. I will say
Yeah.
I didn't give up. I kept going.
Yeah.
That's why I'm able to stand on stage and say 957. And it's not that we're not having progress. I mean, BNP is not a company to sneeze at. General
totally.
Motors, right? General Motors is a real company here. It's not a mom and pop startup from last year that supports sustainability. And Samsung is one of the biggest mobile companies out there. So there is some pride there that I know, well, I got something, and it's always hard to get the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I go back to the idea of 1,000, and I go, man, this may be the campaign to really get it to go. As now that I'm approaching 1,000, maybe
Hmm.
this could be the urgency piece to get people to sign on and support for the next 40 something shows, and we can, really, build things up. I'm hopeful. I mean, we got 5 years till 2030. Like, I don't know what we're doing, but we better do something, right?
Yeah. And engage all corners, and you're engaging the music world, right? Like people
On
come
a mass
to
level.
sustain. Yeah.
Like Xena on a mass level. I just did Rock in Rio. Ed Sheeran did a hour and a half set. I loved it. I love all his
Yeah.
music. They had what is it? Evanescence, a couple others. But I was like right before Ed Sheeran. Amazing music. But I thought about something, and I like to tell people this stories. Ed Sheeran said nothing about sustainability.
Mm.
Ed Sheeran didn't get on the stage and talk about solutions that you can take as an everyday person, what to do with water or this or that. Like Evanescence didn't do that. I watched the whole festival 3 days. Nobody did, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's not their fault. We're not saying there's anything wrong with that. Ed Sheeran is amazing. He's great, but also, it's not in his DNA, right? So he
Yeah.
go outside of what, and man, he may even offend fans by saying some of these different things. And I realize I'm different because when I was on stage, I was talking about the organizations that do the work. I had slides about the SDGs. I was talking about nonprofits that have solutions. I was talking about specific energy companies that have, and it ties into what I'm doing. It is
Yeah.
me. And I just realized that this industry even they don't have that, you
Yeah.
know.
Total
Yeah.
opportunity space. And it's interesting, just based on what you said. I mean, I've noticed this too in like circles that I've gone to conferences, and I'm like, wait a second, like you know. So I totally understand where you're coming from. But interestingly, we just talked to a climate influencer called her name is Andrea Learned, and she was talking about these people who have these leaders, whoever they are, whatever industry they're in, are have a touch point, even if they take something from their personal life and just share it with their team, talk about it in some way, like maybe they've been vegan for 20 years or whatever, and they happen to say they carry so much weight, and so much influence. So even just that little step of like, so artists
She's
that
love them up. That's what she says.
love them up,
She's like,
love them up.
I like that.
if you see a star eating coming out of a vegetarian restaurant, if you see somebody doing something good, right?
Love them up.
Love them up on social media without anything in return. Just love them up, right? And just amplify those little tiny things. And we really love that, right? And we're all
It
doing
just,
that. Yeah.
yeah, to just what you're saying. I mean, like, yeah, they might, these folks may not, might not be their message and they may not want it to be their message, but if they have anything to share in any way, from, a personal belief or whatever, that's an opportunity. So just offering that, we just learned that perspective
I
this
love
week.
it.
So
That's
yeah,
awesome. She seems awesome too. That's
I
cool.
know. I know. Anyway, yeah. So we're learning as we go, but these are like little tidbits that we're picking up and we're like, oh, okay, we can do that.
Yeah, but clarity of message, repetition, clear, right? You've got some good ones, right? Already I could hear it in your you were talking about passion to action, right? Radical
Love it.
collaboration. It's got to keep those clear messaging and inspiring folks who walk away with those tidbits, right? And if that's one thing that they can do and they go out into the world, I love it. I mean, this is so revolutionary in many ways. Um, I do think though there's some challenges around climate change and SDGs and so on. There's a complexity there that it's hard to understand, right? The messaging sometimes. And I think, what are you doing to simplify these key messages for your audience and for people that are just getting to know you? Because, climate change can be one of these things where people are like, well, it's so big, and I'm just concerned about my day to day.
I mean, to be honest, like that's why I have a movement. Like people want
Yeah.
to talk about making a movement or we want to do this. People will have millions of dollars funded to them and to then go create a movement. Like I already have one. Like
Yeah.
we already have kids and students around the world sending photos of outlets saying they're plugged in. Like
Mm.
it's crazy. That's the best marketing is marketing they ever pay for. You see my logo. I don't know if it's on this shirt, but it's the outlet.
Yeah.
What am I doing? To me, I think I have the solution, and I'll give you a story, right? So I took the number one independent artist in the world. His name's Tech Nine. Knew nothing about the goals. To my family farm, we walked around. He saw the farm. I had the solar stuff battery set up for the studio, and I showed him a photo of the goals. I was like, man, look, these are these 17 things that the UN, said we all have to do by 2030. It's, my project is I'm going to donate the proceeds of all of the sales to organizations that do the work. Which goal, let's just take a look. Which goal do you care about? And then he looked at poverty and was like, yo, man, I came from the hood. I grew up in the hood and blah, blah, blah. And like, what I really want to do is, make sure people get out of poverty in the hood and blah, just went on and on and on about why he cared about poverty, personal story, all this other stuff. He instantly knew and understood what the goals were because I
Yeah.
was saying, what do you care about? And then at the end of that, I said, okay, Tech, well, you're a rapper. Rap on the song.
Yeah.
And Tech Nine was the first artist to rap on the song. When I had
Amazing.
a conversation with Peter Gabriel, who made a band called Genesis, one of the best singers in the world, he was looking at it, he really honed in on 17. He was like, man, I just really believe in everyone coming together and blah, blah,
Mm.
blah, blah. Talking about partnerships or whatever. And I was like, okay, Peter, sing on 17.
Yeah.
The goals aren't that hard. When I was in it, I was at a school of the gifted. It was a bunch of kids that were like 7 and 8. And when I showed them the goals, after they saw my story, so I think my story actually has something to do with what's making this stuff make sense to kids and people around the world because they see a dude who's using his passion to take an action and being an outlet. Like when
Yeah.
you see my highlight video, I'm in Africa. I'm not like these other young leader people, no offense to anyone that might be standing on a stage talking about what we should do. You literally see me doing it. Like when I
Yeah.
see you in New York, it will be at show 957. Sometimes I wonder, like, do people not see? I mean, I'm actually doing it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not even really talking about it. I say all that to say when I was, these kids in the classroom will hear the story, they look at the goals, and then all of a sudden you have a girl stand up and say, like, I just really believe in gender equality. I think that women should do it. Or I'm all about working out and getting to the goal 3. This
Yeah.
project to me is like the solution because I'm watching it in real time.
Yeah.
Uh, So I'm in an interesting world right now where whether it's a company or a corporation that we're talking to on the phone, like when I prefaced speaking with Sherry Fields from Costco, that was because I did the same pitch to her because it's not a pitch. It's what does
Yeah.
Costco care about? Oh, okay, that go. Okay, plug in there. Okay, here's what we need to launch the song. Da, 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 and here's how it raises your KPIs and the ESG and gets your right? This is automatic for me. It's just now getting the operational piece together, getting help or support from adult leaders, because unfortunately, these 7-year-olds or these 14-year-old scouts or these college students that we're meeting around the country at Penn State don't own the platforming. Like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, it's owned by adults. It
Yeah. Yeah.
literally
Well
is.
said.
Right? I just
Mhm.
got on a freaking call with the Cisco team and the foundation and met a couple of the people that like, I guess, dispersed the grants. They're all over 50. So my fan base is not going to help me get access to the capital, to get the business model
Yeah.
rolling, or to approve something because it's a 55-year-old guy, right, who's been doing it for 25 years. Right. So that is the unfortunate piece of like when I tell him Anushka Sin with 39 million followers is on goal 4, like this is what we need. Or when I tell people that, it's still at the mercy in some instances of these adults that need to come plug in. You know what I mean? So I hope that makes sense, but I just feel like I'm living in the solution and the movement. So it's funny when people tell me this because I'm like, this is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
But
This
it's a
Yeah.
is,
big movement, and I think you're in the right spot, right? I mean, that's the beauty, and I think hopefully someone is listening to this interview from that older generation who gets this and who wants to come in and help. So just a call to action for anyone listening who has the means to help advance this through some of these large organizations.
Well, and also I think too, just, because you have the youth, connection with, these, concerts you're doing for school children and K through 12 and folks around the world in that regard. These are the future consumers of the products of these, like this is the pipeline,
I
right?
talk about it all the time is like
I know, like
it's the future workforce.
I
Yeah.
like
And they actually do care like
Yeah.
what you care about. Like, because a lot of these kids, man, they'll freaking like not buy anything from you ever and like blackball you if you don't give a crap about the planet. Like, it's just
yeah,
how the kids are now. You
yeah,
have to care.
yeah. I know. You have to care. I think that's the bottom line in everything. You have to care about something, right? So,
Yeah. I mean, and
yeah,
everyone does, right? And like I said, every human I've sat down with from any company or any nonprofit or any influencer or any artist, and I show the goals and I say, man, what goal do you care about? I end up getting so many stories,
yeah,
of why, there's reasons why people believe in this one over that. And
yeah,
so, that this is a beautiful time though. You're right. We're at the precipice of doing
Yeah.
something that I mean, we're doing something that's never been done before. I have seen the headlines. People every time Coldplay does another concert,
Yeah.
right? Every time Massive Attack recently, I think did their
Yes.
first
yeah,
one ever, and it's beautiful. I think it's really amazing to see, Global Citizen now, Massive Attack, Billie Eilish, Coldplay, all these people kind of join this movement that I've been pushing since 2012. I think it's a beautiful thing, and I think it's a perfect time for now us to come together. Now that they've kind of joined in on this
Yeah.
thing I've been pushing for so long, it's a perfect time for radical collaboration.
yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. So you've got a lot of stuff just bringing it to the people at Climate Week. September 22 to 29 is Climate Week in New York City. So you're bringing folks together there. What's next? What's next after Climate Week?
Yeah, and I'll even say what climate. So when I do this battery tour thing, it's not just a clean energy concert that
Right.
provides a voice to the partners and the solutions. So you'll see me on stage, and you'll see leaders from NGOs on stage, and you'll see people like you, Mark, that have solutions on stage, 2 to 3 minutes talking about that solution, so we can actually get people to see, the solutions and plug into them. So I'm here to get the world plugged into the right.
Yeah.
Uh, I also do that in different forms. So we're taking over the Java Center with the Nest, and we're
Yep.
hosting a
I'll be
panel.
there.
Yeah, hell yeah, Mark. Okay,
Definitely.
cool. And I'll have someone from the music industry, and I'll be saying exactly what you hear me saying here, there, that I say every day. I know we have Olga from Warner Music. I think she's the CSO. We have Jamie Knack from Three Squares
Yeah.
and a couple of others. And I'll be saying the same stuff I'm saying here. And I'll be inviting these adults to be a part of this movement. And then after that, we'll do the roundtable because again, the idea of Project 17 and what I'm doing with Battery Tour is bringing every facet of humanity together, right? Regardless of your age or demographic. So we're doing a specialized corporate only, like investor only, like roundtable. We teamed up with the Dunhill Family Office. And Invest, which are two organizations that have funds, and I think family offices need to be a part of
Yep.
change, the way
Hmm.
Definitely.
they make things happen. And it'll be, we got some billionaires in there. We got a lot of capital in there. We got the lady from the GC fund that was funded through COP26. We got a lot of great people in that room. And then it'll be that more, technical conversation of how can we mobilize capital to, advance these goals. So, I kind of do those three components to engage every facet and to drive forward change.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I
And
love it.
Amazing.
sorry, what's next? What's next
Yeah.
is that show 957. And I'm announcing that I'll do show 1000 by April Earth Day 2025. And I really aspire, I pray, I hope to do this at Amazon Arena, make it a star-studded event. Obviously, we're going to break a world record. We're going to break a Guinness Book of World Records. It's never been done before. And I want to share that moment with the Massive Attacks and the Ellie's or Ellie Goldings or the Coldplays and
Yep.
the Kevin Harts and the companies and organizations and solutions like the Overdrives and the New Use Energies and
Yep.
the Volt Stacks. And it's
Show
season,
power.
right? The Show Power. Those are my homies,
Hmm.
Lawrence and them.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, you already know Lawrence is the homie and John.
Hmm.
Yeah, and 18,000 people, and I think it's a great place to make history. And so that's the goal. And I hope that throughout Climate Week, I can get some of these adult leaders to sign up and do this with me.
I'll spread the
Totally.
message.
Please
Mark
do.
Mark's
Yeah.
good. He's
Yeah.
good out there on the streets. So
Let's go.
And
I can't wait to
and
see you,
I
homie. I guess
and
I'm
I
about to see you in like 7 days.
I
yeah, it's
know.
great. And I just believe in again music as well, right? Music for change and sustainable production. And this is why we're doing this podcast is to bring light to the doers, the people that are making real shit happen and not just doing lip service to this thing. Because
I
there's
love
Yeah.
so
that.
many folks out there. It's these sort of unsung heroes behind the scenes, right? Because I always joke that, if you're powering something with a generator, you can hear the generator, right? So you're like, yeah, we're doing stuff with the generator. But if you do your job right when you're using batteries or clean energy systems, it's silent. No one even notices it. People notice it less.
Yeah.
So it's like it's even more sort of behind the scenes. So it's like, how do we amplify those voices, right? Where we don't need a loud generator making noise, but we need loud voices and messaging and clear, bringing people along. And Zena and I have something where we're doing on our podcast where we ask our guests, we're putting together like a guiding principles document for sustainable production, right? Like kind of
Nice.
like what Burning Man has. It's got these like 10 guiding principles, or other organizations have these tenets that they hang their hat on. If you had anything to add to that list, like one or two, three like things that you think would be a good to add to a guiding principles around, yeah, sustainable music production and so on, what would it be?
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna say like radical collaboration.
I love that.
I would
I already wrote
say
that
that, but
down.
honestly, yeah, it's probably not on your list.
Yeah,
Because I mean,
Right.
we can't do this alone. I
Yeah,
mean, it's a lot of hands, right? From the
totally.
I love
writers
it.
to this to that. It's gonna take a lot more progression too, right, guys?
Yeah, kind of like rethinking how we do things in general. The world is evolving. We gotta move on to the next way of doing things. And just like you kind of started us off, like,
I
and
love
like
what
what
you're
where yeah,
rethinking how we do. And can we zoom in on that thought?
Yeah.
totally. I love it.
Because to me, you're speaking about culture.
Yeah.
And when I think about like sustainability and culture, it hasn't mixed yet.
Right.
I've
Right.
made
You're
a
right.
mix. I am the mix. And what you actually have to do, that you're going to keep going to these different music things or things in general, and you're going to hear people talk about this. But
Yeah.
until you get somebody, a human, not a stat line that you say at a festival before somebody goes and performs and doesn't rap about sustainability, but raps their hit song that's probably about who knows what and has
Yep.
nothing to do with actually changing the world. You actually need to break someone, right? That it
Yep.
can bring that piece. It's in their DNA. That's why I like to tell people, I use this story. I don't know if I can say this public. I'm not going to say what the, I'm going to be careful now.
Yep.
I'm going to give you a story. I'm going to give you a story. So someone comes up to me at a conference, and it's one of the biggest artists in the world. And they show me this video of them saying, this is powered by clean energy. You know what I mean? And they weren't that happy, because they didn't talk about the technology at all or anything of the company. They just said clean energy. I mean, they told 20,000 people that, but they didn't, and I think why they really liked what I bring to the table. If you saw this video of me in Times Square under the smart flower, before I performed the anthem for Goal 7, like I was like, yo, we're storing energy from the sun and batteries. This is called a smart flower. This is how it works. Everybody say plugged in, say outlet, outlet, and I was talking about how the technology works. And I mean, right, I got them plugged into, and then I did the song 1 billion without a light that sparks, and like, bro, and it's cool, it's dope. This ain't whack music. If you actually start listening to the music, you'll wonder, you will get the answer as to why am I working with the Head and the Heart and they sang on this? Why am I working with Peter Gabriel and these major artists? It's because the music is like hits. It's like good music, right? Because it's not whack. So I'm saying all that to say, like, people can say all this stuff, oh, we need change, oh, we need a cultural movement, oh, we are the world. I got on the call with someone, awesome person. I think her name was Dylan, right, from the new Global Impact team with Sony or something. And I think she had just got off a call and was like, she was in a boardroom meeting and they were talking about how or when are we going to get the next We Are the World. That's what they were debating. And the
Yeah.
answer is like, it's not going to happen because that's not like Drake is not going to give you We Are the World because it's not in his DNA. It's not. Cardi B makes her money from being half naked, right? Saying very interesting things on records. If Cardi B came out talking about love of the world or something, she may lose her fan base,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like it's not going to come from these areas that we're reaching at because their business model doesn't allow them to veer those ways.
Yep.
So you're going to need someone who does and can, and he's right here.
Yeah.
Really that.
100%.
I love it. I love it.
That's my last like
100%.
Kanye West moment. Sorry, I'm.
No, this is great.
This
We
is
we
for
need
you,
we
man.
need him. Yeah, we need ambassadors who understand the complexity of these issues and who can communicate the message, right, in a
Yeah,
clear way. That's exciting.
totally. Love it. Love it. I appreciate what you're doing. I
Me too.
appreciate you expanding our minds on this stuff. And actually, being like actually being the change is not just the cliche, not just a throwaway comment. Like you're doing it. You're doing it. I love that about you.
We're trying. Thank you so much. We'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
I'm here to get the world plugged in, man. I want to be the biggest impact artist of all time in the next 2 years.
Well, you've
That's
got two fans here, so
two
we'll do what we
fans.
can on our end.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
totally. Totally.
You rock. That was good.
Amazing. I mean,
Damn, that
I just love to, like, this guy is on fire.
yeah.
He knows what he wants. He's focused. He's got a mission. He's living it. What else can you like do, right? Like,
He's the voice of a generation that cares, and I love what he said around, melding sustainability and culture, because he's right. We're still not there yet. And we've had other guests that have also sort of pointed that out as well. So part of what he's doing is truly an incredible global vibrational force. And I love that he talks about radical collaboration, because that's the only way that this is going to happen.
and it's interesting. I've talked about radical collaboration before too. And what I'm finding as people talk about it, it's not so prevalent, it's not so easy, it's a little uncomfortable. And I think that's what he's running up against with this adult youth difference here. The youth don't harbor some of these feelings of discomfort. They're ready to go. And maybe the adults are like feeling, coming up against,
It's the establishment, or they don't want to rock the boat. I mean, that's always been
yeah,
something like, don't rock the boat, right? And you're like, well, no, the boat needs to be completely like tipped over and reimagined.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's what he's coming up against. And I don't know exactly what to call that, but I get a sense that when he talks about radical collaboration, like that is a little uncomfortable to some folks. And I think that's, the way he's doing it is new, different, fresh, and imagine creative, and what people think, kind of a more traditional way of thinking about collaboration. It's a little different. So I love that he brought that up and that he's just real and honest. And he just said what he needs, what he thinks, what the challenges are. And, come
Clearly a
on,
hard
like
worker. Yeah, I
he's
mean,
a hard worker. Let's
yeah,
get
yeah,
let's get together and figure this out. I mean, you and I have been
absolutely.
working on this. We're kind of all
Yeah,
converging here, it seems
exactly.
like.
We'll
So,
keep working towards the supporting him and his goal, and also supporting the doers on the ground, right? Which he is very, very much is. And I'm sure he's just getting going, right?
I
In the
know.
way I look at it.
I know. It's amazing. So everyone, AY Young,
Yep.
stay
Check
on
him
top
out.
of that. Check him out, and let's just get to work.
Yeah. And he'll have an album coming out, Project 17 at some point here. So
Yeah. Awesome.
awesome. Thanks.
Hey folks, we wanted to make sure you all know about the Sustainable Production Forum coming up in Toronto on September 23rd, in Vancouver on October 8th, and virtually on October 23rd. I will be at all 3 events.
And Zena and I are doing a live recording of the tie-in in Vancouver on October 8th. And the tie-in is a media partner, so stay tied in with us and remember to subscribe to the podcast.
Yep, go to sustainableproductionforum.com to get all the information and to get your tickets. We'll see you there. Hello, entertainment industry. Something I've been working on over the past year with partners U.S. Green Building Council California and Aerith Environmental is the development of the Sustainable Production for Entertainment Certification, or SPEC, as we like to call it.
It's the first certification for the entertainment workforce, and it's now live for folks to sign up.
Yeah, go to the U.S. Green Building Council California website at usgbc-ca.org to learn more about it and to register for an upcoming class. This is a great way to up your sustainability game and gain a professional certification. So this is for you. See you in class. Our designer is Aaliyah Kane. Music is by Peter Chapman. Our producer is Colin Miller.